Hello and welcome. My name is Jessica Gem. Fight, fight, fight! It's that time of year again. The time for the wrap-up of all the masterpieces made for our fellow artists in Art Fight 2025. I made a video about it last year as well, but in case you aren't aware, Art Fight is a massive annual art trading game where the community gets together and draws each other's characters. While there are teams and points, the main goal is to have a great time with your fellow creatives and get inspired by other people's blurbos, OCs, personas, self-inserts, and more. This year, the teams were fossils versus crystals, and I bet you could never guess even remotely what team I might be on. Just kidding, I stuck with my branding. Sparkle sparkle! I like to search for users to attack using the random character button in the Discovery tab, so I went browsing and bookmarked a few before the event started. No drawing until the buzzer goes, though. In this case, the buzzer was a Discord notification sound, and off I went. The first character I decided to draw was Sera Navaria by Sera Navaria. I had seen this adorable green-haired cat girl in the little preview square and thought she'd be fun, but boy was I surprised when I opened the full image. She's a cat-plant-snake girl. In the little blurb about her likes, I saw that she likes reading, and immediately I saw her chillin' and leaning on her hand to enjoy a good book. I don't do a lot of lounging poses, so getting to focus on just half the body was way less intimidating. It took a couple tries to get the face angle right, but I think I got it in the end. I love the cheek squinch. Her piercings and tats were all really fun to add, and figuring out what I wanted to do for the vines was easier than I thought it would be. I'm very happy with how my first attack came out. And here's their lovely counter-attack of my character Rail. They decided to draw her relaxing under a flow of water. Huge thanks to them. Next up is Iroh by Namzu, which did not go quite as smoothly. I decided to draw him because of the fun colors, and then I saw his gecko friend Wellin, and I was sure of my choice. I had a really fun concept, as you can see here, where his little buddy would be hanging out on his head, and I do quite like how the sketches came out, but after the sketch I decided to do some line art and it just wasn't quite clicking. I finished the lines and colors of the first version, but then, as the great Drawfee hosts have said many times before, delete your art! I just didn't like how it came out, so I started over completely. This time, I decided to go more of a shapey chibi style and immediately liked it much better. That day, I just really wanted to do chunky lines, and my other concept just didn't fit, so I am glad I decided to try again. After my line pass, I went back and sharpened all the points as well as colored them to finish it off. His shirt and the heart are watermelon color cause he loves them. Much different from where I started, but I'm more pleased with the result. After that, I had to right a wrong. Last year, I somehow missed revenging an odd biologist for their drawing of Lena. I stand by my statement of revenging every attack, so apologies for being a year late, but it's time for Fudge. Here's the description they gave. She loved warmth and comfort. She'd spend all winter curled up in blankets unless she was wearing her jacket, and loved napping in the sun. Food obsessed and understood everything if there was the potential for food. I also decided to include their other doggo, Roscoe. He loves walks and sticks, the longer the better. He's not the biggest fan of other dogs and prefers having a bit of space, so I'd appreciate that if you keep it in mind should you include him in any kind of interaction or mass attack. It seemed to me like the perfect opportunity for an adorable sibling dynamic, even if they may not have been around at the same time. I also turned them anthro to be able to show a bit more personality, since I'm not very practiced drawing straight-up cartoon animals. Fudge decided to share some of her bacon snacks with Roscoe, but he's worried she'll take his stick if he's distracted. They're on a nice big love seat for the comfort factor, and I designed their outfits to lean into the types I picked. More serious and introverted brother with an excitable sis. I made the colors of the cardigan and blanket match their collars, which gave it all a warm red, tan, and brown palette. which I think pulled together for a really cute piece overall. Then, I was attacked! Eggtaku drew this adorable gemstone, standing at the edge of a windy cliff where the stars shine and the sun starts to warm your back, wind through your feathers with the smell of fresh air in your nose. I must take my revenge! They had these super cool alien designs that I decided to go with, the main man being Fenris. Descriptions slightly pared down for length. An alien on the Thunderstriker. The purple of his uniform means he's a security guard on the ship. He mans the cameras, but he's not all that great at it. Not much happens on the ship, and so majority of the time he uses one monitor to watch a show. He's not that muscular, at least compared to his coworkers in security, but for what he lacks in strength, he makes up for in speed and agility. Personality-wise, he's a very energetic person, slightly cowardly, but his friend and coworker Tatum gives him back that confidence, and even if he's scared, he will do everything in his power to fight for the crew. He is a security guard after all. After reading the description with his split jaw, I knew I wanted to have him yawning on the job. This was before I looked thoroughly at the sheet and actually saw the little yawn illustration. You know what they say about great minds, wink. So I tried to come up with a fun pose for it, but was struggling with the angle. Then I had an amazing idea. What if some tiny comic panels to include Tatum as well? Another security guard on the Thunderstriker, yet he is more prepared for the physical part of the job compared to Fenris. He patrols the ship. He is trans, red, and really buff, and he's got a tattoo on his arm that is like fire. On his planet, warriors get tattoos. Also, it's the females who are bigger and more muscular. Their society is very harsh, but on the Thunderstriker, he finally feels at home. Tatum loves collecting human things, like history and overall junk, like stuffed animals and gaming consoles, crazy-looking forks, or a Nerf gun. You name it, he probably has it in his collection. He just has fun facts about Earth and human culture. So why not have him patrolling and catch Fenris slacking off again? When I read the Nerf gun part, I knew that would be the perfect tool to startle a sleepy coworker. The main idea that I wanted was a big cute yawn, so I decided to keep the comic panels smaller and less rendered in the corners, while making the main visual front and center. It took a bit of meddling to balance everything out within the canvas for composition, especially with the way I had him stretching, but eventually I figured it out by mangaing the page direction, which I think is fun visually, so I'm quite satisfied with how it came together. There was quite a bit of detail and so many parts to work with, but this was a really fun one. After that, I moved on to St. J by Flinigan. The shapes are just so pleasant, and blue jays are one of my favorite birds, so I thought it would be lovely. I also immediately had a vision, a prophecy deep in my mind bones, of a beautiful stained glass mural depicting this blessed bird. St. J is a holy figure, an icon of good. He helps and guides others and has a duty to punish or destroy evil, not someone you want to fight. He has some powers such as controlling light, materializing things made of light, magical flight, purifying things, etc. He is virtuous, quiet, calm, and gentle, doesn't often show emotion, enjoys peaceful activities, and has a chapel in the mountains where people come to him for help. I was using Adobe Fresco for all my art fight attacks this year, and it doesn't have a symmetrical drawing function that I know of. I may be dumb, but I don't know. So I had to manually align everything, but I got clever a bit further in the process. This program does have a mirror layer function, but it mirrors based on the center of the drawing, not the canvas. So what I did was draw scribbles in both corners so that there were pixels on both edges, which meant that the layer was perfectly flipped to the other side of the canvas, just in case anyone else faces the same issue in any of your programs. Anyways, I looked at a bunch of real stained glass pieces for reference of where to put the connection lines, which may not be fully feasible, but it looks convincing enough for me. Maybe this is one of the windows in his mountain chapel, or perhaps a small pane in someone's personal shrine. Either way, his light shines upon us all. And last but certainly not least, Marian's character Tom. I saw a dramatic, handsome, sad person and wanted to engage. Tom is someone broken from the start and has just been trying to find a way to die ever since becoming immortal. Their tragic past doesn't justify their overall apathy towards how much of a horrible person they've become, but a life surrounded by death is the only one they know. Tom works for whoever pays them more to hunt people down because they're good at it, and no amount of force can take them down. The more dangerous the job, the better. When not in work mode, Tom is quite low-key and likes to be left alone. Silence is their safe space. They'd rather watch the rain than go out. They're very awkward around other people and incompetent at socializing, having no friends or family aside from just a few mutually beneficial work associations, an ex that hates their guts, and a priest who's just starting to make them think that being alive isn't a curse itself. And that said priest makes a small appearance here. Vincent grew up in a religious orphanage with his little sister, going through absolute hell to protect her and survive. He became a priest at 14 due to extreme circumstances. His childhood dream was to become a seamstress, but he's made peace with his decision and is now a director assistant of the same orphanage. My main concept for the pair was to focus on a cool outfit made for Tom by Vince as a gift. By learning how to draw clothes from Kryovsnik's recent video, which I still did, but after I read this line I had to switch tactics. Vincent. No fashion sense whatsoever. Aside from his clerical clothes, he's probably had the same 3 pairs of shirts and 3 pairs of pants that he's been repairing and repurposing for the past couple of years. I know that this means for himself, but since he has no fashion sense whatsoever, I figured that it would probably extend to others as well. I decided to pivot to the emphasis on Tom's love of rain and solitude by having them coming home sopping wet, which would let me test a fun effect on the white tank top, wink wonk. I think this rendering style came out pretty neat with my art, so I may try to implement the lasso tool more in my shading in future as well. Especially since I covered up all the best work with the rain-soaked darkness. Anyways, I got in at nearly the end, and Marian still managed to hit me back with this adorable sketch of Rail and Archie. So, these are the pieces I did for Art Fight this year. Not bad for being a slower art year in general, and it's got me excited to get back into more regular work. I've got several video ideas that I'm pretty interested in, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had an awesome fight. That's all for now, so farewell and have a wonderful day.